What's going on, guys? Catching up with the Winks, episode 2, coming at you from the living room today. What's going on? We actually tried to record this outside, but there was, screaming children, trains, and we just figured, hey, we'll just bring it in here so that you guys don't have to listen to all this background noise. But how's everybody's week been? Our week's been pretty good, right?
I would say so.
So on Monday, I'm starting a second job, taking a step into ministry. So that's going to be cool, exciting. I'm going to be assisting at the youth group for our church. And, just kind of looking at that whole journey, like how God's been working in our lives. It's just crazy for me to think that, just a year ago, just barely a year ago was when I got baptized. It's actually funny. I accepted the position on Monday, and it was 1 year after I was baptized.
It's crazy.
Like exactly 1 year to the day. So like going into it, I was like kind of anxious. And then I put 2 and 2 together that it was actually a year anniversary for my baptism, and like all that anxiety went away. So I kind of feel comfortable with that. What about you? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Eating more calories. Like I said, I looked back at the other video and I was like, oof, I was dragging. So I'm sure you can even tell in my face and my demeanor. I feel like a new person. So
good. I don't think it was as bad as she thinks it is.
I don't know.
She was trying to talk trash.
But I even took the girls out the other day to there was like a local sweet shop that opened up and coffee shop. And I took them there because obviously what kid doesn't love that stuff. But we got ice cream and they had these banana pudding cookies. And I tried one. The girls had a lavender scone and some blueberry cheesecake ice cream. And we're just supporting small business close to home. And we enjoyed it thoroughly. They had games, board games, and tic-tac-toe and
sent me
crayons.
pictures. They look pretty cool.
So cute. The owner's husband was there.
Nice.
And he was talking to me and telling me about how they opened the business and everything and how happy he was to have us there. There were flowers, fresh cut flowers in there that you could buy. Just one of those cute little boutiques. And throughout the cut journey, I would never even set foot in a place like that because I'd have no intention on enjoying any of it. But
how many calories was a cookie?
I guesstimated it had to have been like 400 for the one.
You guys, she sent me pictures. The cookie was like this
beautiful.
Thick, and it was filled with what? Pudding?
Banana pudding. It was hard to explain. There was marshmallow action. It was just
marshmallow action.
It was really good. And the girls had a good time. When we left, they were both saying best day ever.
Good.
So that made my heart,
That's all that matters,
happy. Right? So that was good. It was really good. I'm trying to think of what else I did this week.
I got one. So last week you guys got depleted Vetty. So this week you get depleted J. So I decided that this weekend I would do a 72-hour fast.
Out of nowhere.
So I am actually just a little bit over halfway through. So feeling good, actually. Feeling all right. Certainly not the most energetic version of myself right now. But, I was praying the other day and God kind of challenged me with the possibility that I might be putting some of my physical achievements ahead of Him. So it was just a feeling I couldn't shake, and it was really interesting. And I just kind of felt challenged to just say, well, I can do this. I can drop this right now. And so I haven't eaten since breakfast on Friday, and I'm going to go until Monday. So when you watch this video, I'll be off the fast. But right now, as we record, I am currently on the fast. So we'll see. It's been showing me a lot of cool things. I'll talk a little bit about it, I think, in episode 3, probably, as I get to kind of dissect all of this. But at least for right now, it's been really interesting, and I think it's something that I think it's a worthy physical challenge, which
Mm-hmm.
is maybe a good segue into what we're talking about today. Is last week we talked about kind of just Vetty's journey and her growth through physical challenges. This week I want to just give a little bit more value in kind of why is it important in the year 2023 for us to challenge ourselves, and what does a physical challenge look like? I think there's a lot of um, just your generic physical challenge, and we'll talk about that too. But to kind of lead into this, and I guess I'm talking to everybody who's watching this right now. What if you went to a friend's house and without any warning, they were like, "Hey, let's do an ice bath." How would you feel? How would you feel?
I'd be like, oh no,
Oh
I'm
no,
not doing
right?
that at all. Absolutely
Why
not.
not?
It's uncomfortable, it's difficult, it's cold, and I would just not want to do that. It would physically be difficult.
Okay. So what if same thing, you went to your friend's house and they're like, "Oh, by the way, we're gonna do a sandbag carry. I got a 50 pounder, 100 pounder. We're gonna throw some sandbags on our shoulders and see how far we can walk."
I'd pass.
Pass?
Pass.
That's interesting. Um, I'd probably pass too, honestly, if I hadn't been prepped for it.
Yes.
Like the mental prep, I think that goes into doing something like that. Um, or even like right now, like just fasting. Like I felt a call to fast, so just on a whim, I'm just fasting for 72 hours. So like same thing. Like imagine if you were just, hey, let's go to the lake this weekend and let's just fast. Like nobody says that. Nobody does
Nobody
that,
says
right?
that.
Why do we think that is? Why is it that we don't want to do that? Well, it's because just what she said, it's uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, from kind of a genetic standpoint, our minds are wired to keep us comfy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Absolutely.
that's the job of our mind, is to keep us safe and keep us secure. So we tend to just want to naturally avoid anything that's uncomfortable, and that could be a social situation.
Yeah.
It could be a hard conversation. It could be anything that we deem, or our minds deem, that is uncomfortable from either a challenge or just a situational standpoint.
I think a lot of things in the year 2023, they make us want to feel comfortable all the time. From anywhere from,
You
um,
talking like society stuff?
yeah, I mean, everything is be comfortable, don't do, anything hard. There's this to make you feel better, anxiety medication, or take this pill. This is too hard. We can help you take this pill, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
to achieve weight loss or
Right. That's a great point.
happiness, or here is a car that does all these crazy things. You turn the car off and it pushes your seat back automatically. You open your door and the running board goes out for you, so you don't even have to really step down.
You don't even have to take a big step down to the ground. Yeah.
Everything is about making your
Comfort,
life
comfort,
easier
comfort.
and more comfortable.
Drive-throughs,
Yes.
you don't even have. When's the last time like anybody's been inside of a bank?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Like really rare.
Other
Like
than
we
for
can do,
work, but
all of our
yeah.
money gets direct deposited. We pay
Hmm.
all of our bills online. Like you really don't have to go into a bank unless you need something special.
Something I do is the grocery pickup.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
So
grocery pickup.
that is something that is everything is being done either for you, or it just everywhere you go, everything is easier
Yeah.
by doing this or buying into this. So getting back to that, I feel we're being rewired.
Well, then you have people who are like, "Oh, you got to treat yourself, or you got to work on your mental health,
You
or you
deserve.
deserve." Oh yeah, the deserves, yeah, or live your best life, like
Oh,
all of that
oh,
type of stuff.
That's one that
You
gets
know,
me.
those are like societal pushes, you know, a lot of times through social media, or a lot of times through, you know, TV or the shows that we watch, that kind of just like engineer us to think a certain way, like, oh yeah, I do work hard. But do you? Do any of us really work hard in 2023? Like, if, like, let's compare ourselves like to our ancestors, who,
Hmm.
if there was vegetables in the cupboard, it was because they grew them. You know, everything was, you know, from the
And
farm, or
harvested
yeah,
them.
it grew and harvested them. Yeah, like life was hard work. You know, like what's the old adage, like, your everybody's grandpa used to say, I used to walk to school up hills
Right.
both ways in the snow.
Hmm.
You know, and while that isn't exactly true, I mean, I think it just appeals to like just how easy we stinking have it today, right?
Yes.
Like, I think most modern humans in 2023, at least in the Western world, walk through life completely void of any challenge or uncomfortable situations, you know, and they're allowed to just say, well, I have social anxiety, so I don't avoid going into places that I don't like, or I'm not comfortable there. And society's answer to that, kind of like what Vetty said, is there's
Hmm.
just a pill or a band-aid. It's not, let's get to the root of what's causing you your anxiety. It's, here, just take this. And you won't have anxiety anymore. You're going to have these three other problems, but you won't have anxiety. Oh, now you need a pill for those three other
Hmm.
problems? Okay, so we'll just band-aid the band-aid and keep band-aiding the band-aid, the band-aid. And we never actually fix anything. We never actually get down to like what's causing all of this stuff.
Mm-mm.
Would you agree?
I agree.
It's yeah.
One of the things with the Zoloft, when I was taking that to get back to like the pill thing, my coaster, the Zoloft would make me not care about what food I put in my mouth because I didn't care about gaining weight. And one of the
Well,
side effects of Zoloft is weight gain. And you could say, well, it's because of water weight or whatever, but it was definitely because I did not care about anything. And there were several times, not to go off on a tangent, but when I was taking the medication where you say to me things like, you seem like you just don't care, or like you have no feelings about
mm-hmm.
things. And I'm like, that's not true. I do. It's just, I couldn't put two and two together, but I couldn't explain to you why I felt kind of nothing, if that made sense. So that was another thing where you're trading one problem for another. And it boggles my mind now that I can look at that from the outside now that I'm well and see that just how crazy and
Yeah.
dangerous that could be.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that because one of the things that I want to talk about today is how like this episode is going to be more so why we need to challenge ourselves to take back our mental
Hmm.
health. Like, how do we get back mental from the physical, or
Yeah.
why should we continue to challenge ourselves? And the first thing I want to explore is really just, physical challenges have so little to do about physical results. You know, we always say you show up in the gym to get your physical gains, but you end up staying for the mental gains and the spiritual gains. Like, the mental gains are a huge, huge thing, you know? So, and the benefits are numerous, but I think before we discuss too much about the benefits,
Yeah.
you know, I'd like to define a physical challenge for you guys. And I think, to me, a physical challenge is really anything that you can do to deny your body and mind of comfort to achieve something that you've never achieved before. Like, to me, that's a physical challenge. It's to push into a area that you don't want to be in to get returns back that you've never got before. And, you know, we'll talk about how to acknowledge an area that you should push in, but I don't think that there's a black and white one size fits all. You know, I'd like to say that everybody should just go to the gym and lift weights, and while I think that that is healthy for a lot of reasons, I don't know if that's the exact reason, right? So, but we'll get into that a little bit. But I
Hmm.
think the main benefits and why in the mental reward of consistently trying to challenge yourself and push into deep areas in life. The first one would be responsibility, right?
Sure.
You learn how to take responsibility for everything in life. Like, what have you learned as far as taking responsibility from I mean, just from your diet, like you talked about last week a little bit.
I think a lot of times, well, with the diet, taking responsibility and just kind of um, being mindful of, do you mean like being mindful of the food that I put into my body or,
Just realizing that, like, you're responsible for everything. Like, if you
oh,
in
I
order to
see.
succeed
Yeah.
in the physical, like, you have to take responsibility for your results. Like, if you don't go to the gym,
Can't
you don't
blame
get any
anybody
results. You can't
else.
blame anybody else. You can't point the finger. Like, if you don't lose the weight, then you're responsible for that, right? And life is so much about this, like, it's not my fault, it's his
Right,
fault. And we
right, right.
place blame on everybody else. And man, I work in retail, and I could tell you, nobody wants to take
No,
responsibility. They could have like blatantly have made a mistake that caused the situation, but they won't own it. They won't admit to any fault. When we're all human. Like, obviously, like, I'm not void of saying, hey, we messed this up, I'd like to fix it for you. But
right.
on the other end, recipro- on the reciprocation from them, there's never
No,
any give and take. So taking responsibility is huge, and that's going to serve you in every area of life. If you learn to take control and ownership of what you're doing in life, you're going to be better husband, better father, better at your job, better everywhere, because you're willing to say, this is my fault and I'm going to work to fix it. And people will acknowledge that and appreciate that for sure.
I feel that's something I struggled with, but
I feel like you've gotten a lot better at that. And
yeah.
we talked about that on stream the other day
Yes,
for sure.
yes.
One of my favorites is learning progressive overload. And this might be something that's more to like a weight regimen, but in anything that we do, and maybe not, I guess, in anything that we do, in order to get better at it, we have to do progressively more over time. So, if we do a weightlifting analogy, like, you're not going to start and just walk up to a bar and deadlift
Mm-mm.
500 pounds, right? You're going to start by deadlifting much less than
Gosh.
that and slowly progress your way up. The same thing would apply to if you were in, I don't know, martial arts, and you don't start as a black belt. you know
No,
you have to learn, and you progressively overload, and you learn that all the time. So whatever the physical challenges that you're taking place in, it teaches us the value of continually showing up and continually adding more to the bar, so to speak, in life. So, like, when we worked on our marriage, it wasn't something that we just flipped a switch and our marriage was healthy. We had to start with the low hanging fruit, so to speak, like, or the elephants in the room, like the big things. And we addressed those things first. And then once those were addressed, we went to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And we progressive overloaded, getting our marriage in line. And there's always something next. It's
right.
never perfect. And that's what physical challenges teach us, is that to become the best versions of ourselves mentally, we also have to realize that this journey is never over. We're never going to get to a point where we're like, oh yeah, I'm done. I'm fully self-improved, I'm finished. Like, and that's, I think, what a physical journey, having a foundation of a physical trial in your life, whatever that looks like, whatever that consistent regimen is for you, will bleed over into the mental side in that way. One thing that I think Vetty has really done, I've noticed in her in the past 12 months, is confidence,
Hmm.
self-confidence. You always struggled with self-confidence, right?
Always. But this has definitely shown me how to, well, all the results collectively, physically and mentally, I have a lot more confidence. And even to where we talk about at work, I have confidence with customers,
Mm-hmm.
just dealing with people in public. And um, I've had a lot of issues with social anxiety and all around dealing with people, and now I don't have any of that, and I'm confident in the way I look and the way I speak, and the way I handle difficult situations. There hasn't been a time probably in the last 6 months that I've felt, not confident. Even walking into the sweet shop,
Hmm.
normally a year ago, I would have been a basket case before walking in for no reason. And now I don't have that. I don't know why that is really. If it's just, I don't feel like people are always
Well, you don't
judging
have
me.
anxiety anymore. I mean, talk about that. So you kind of briefly touched on that earlier, about you used to be on Zoloft, and what else were you on?
Klonopin.
Okay. And what were you prescribed those for? And then how did you get off them?
Zoloft for the depression and Klonopin for anxiety attacks.
Okay.
But I don't even think I was having anxiety attacks. They were just like, here, take this, you know? So
But I know for a fact that, the Zoloft changed you. So, what was the main like turning point for you where you realized that you didn't need that anymore?
after I lifted weights and felt physically strong and I was seeing results change in my body, there was a switch that just turned on within the, like you said, the mental, physical that went together with that. And
Was it
uh,
like just an emptiness that you had inside of you, like just the itch that you had never scratched about yourself, like a
I remember standing in the garage and all of a sudden I just felt the need to stop taking the medication. And I felt that I had a moment of clarity and I just knew that I had to stop taking the medication, that there was no longer a need for it anymore
hmm
because it was almost as if my confidence and that almost person inside of me was overwhelming the Zoloft itself. Um, I don't,
discovering your true self or building up that confidence was
yeah,
what was causing you to need anxiety medication the whole time. It was more of a depression maybe caused by a lack of self-confidence. And I don't think that this is a blanket thing, but also just to say
no,
that, like, I think if there's something in your life that you consistently avoid, and there's something about yourself that you never address, like we talked about in the first episode, like Vetty struggled with obesity and all those types of things her whole life, and she's never felt strong, she's never felt confident, and all of a sudden she's, you know, doing something she never thought that she could do, and she's proving to herself that she's strong and physically fit.
yeah. And why not try and do something different instead of being on medication?
Right.
You know, I don't, if this is something that other people could take and they watch this and see this, you know, they don't always have to be on medication. Why not try physical fitness and, you know, progressive overloading or just something other than taking the medication? I
Mm-hmm.
never, and now that I'm here, I just wish more people or hope more people or want to encourage more people to try that avenue rather than be dependent on those things. So,
Yeah, I think in a society that's, so pill forward and push this and push the quick fix, the easy fix, the band-aid, there's so much value in trying to find another way first. And when we're in a society that's just all about quick fixes and all about band-aids, it's easy to just fall into that loop of
mm-hmm,
like, well, this is the only way.
mm-hmm,
And we just want you guys to realize that it's not the only way. You don't have to take the easy way out. There's always another way. And unfortunately, it's usually the hard way. But,
right.
as we always say, the hard way is going to lead to lasting growth, lasting change. And most of you guys have so much more capacity. That's another benefit, is just energy, mood elevation, work capacity, reduce stress, like better sleep. Like all of those types of things are benefits of frequently challenging yourself. Um, so if you struggle with any of that stuff, or especially if you're on medication for any of that stuff, really a good time to kind of, maybe you're watching this video for a reason, and maybe you can just take that and say, hey, maybe I can try this. And it's not about dropping everything cold turkey, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just about trying to address the so-called elephant in the room, or grab some of that low-hanging fruit in your life and, you know, try to fix it.
You know what else it taught me that I did not have was being disciplined. Um, Even from the start, waking up every morning early and going outside, lifting weights, consistently doing that. I never did anything like that before in my life. I was never consistent about something like that. I was never disciplined about anything like that. Um, and it taught me that when you do those things, results happen.
Hmm.
Obviously, going into the garage, working out in the gym once a week would not get me results like it did, at this point. Um, Not only that, I can take the discipline that I've learned from the physical fitness and those that avenue, and I can transfer it into my mental. And I've done that on a lot of situations where, um, we were talking about that maybe today or yesterday about you were like, you really don't have anxiety anymore. And I said, it's still there. It just, I'm more disciplined in the way I deal with it now.
Mm.
Um, I'm more disciplined in how I react to situations, not just with anxiety, but even with, work and dealing
Hmm.
with people there. I'm more disciplined in the respect of I don't have, I don't come undone when somebody's rude to me or says something awful, or I can't figure out how to fix something or deal with a situation. I'm more disciplined in the respect that I keep my cool, I focus and I just use, the general mindset, or, even down to the progressive overload.
Yeah.
All of these things transfer into other situations, like day-to-day life situations, even dealing with our kids,
Yeah.
you
For
know,
sure. For sure.
remaining calm, being disciplined, being mindful, all of those things. If something doesn't go your way, I can take that, what I've learned from the physical things and doing hard things and doing things that make me feel uncomfortable on purpose. And when the uncomfortable things happen, I'm able to use what I've learned and they're not so uncomfortable anymore.
Yeah, that's that's great. Another thing that I think, to go back to what I said about the responsibility, like two things our society are devoid of right now is taking responsibility and self-discipline. A lot of people, when you never work hard for anything and when everything is given to you, your expectations of everything becomes now, 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 now. And you have never seen the benefit of anything that takes hard work, and
Mm,
you don't realize that the best things in life must be worked for. The relationships have to be worked for. They require constant just nurturing and investment and conversation and being open and being honest and being able to take responsibility. Like all of these things, like to be the best version of yourself, you need to have self discipline in every area of your life. And one thing that I always say is like, whatever you allow in one area of your life, you will allow in any area of your life. So if you're not disciplined with your workouts, not only are you not going to get gains, but you're allowing yourself to skip in one area of your life. So if you're saying, well, I'm tired, I don't have to go to the gym today, then what are the chances that you're going to, be true to your diet and
yeah.
be true to honest at your job and honest with everything else you do, and that you'll be honest with your spouse and all of that. Like if you allow yourself to kind of cheat or be lazy in one area, then your mind can easily use that against you and say, well, you were absolutely lazy over here. So what is it that big of a deal if you're lazy over here? And then the justification of laziness becomes easier for yourself when you say that no, this is a commitment that I made to myself, and I'm not going to allow myself to just take the easy road anymore. And certainly there's times and places where we might not need to, or we might not be able to go, keep going on our physical challenge. But what I'm stating is that like when you allow positivity in positive things, then it'll be easy to apply those same positive things to across your life to all areas. The same is true for the negative things that you allow in. Then you can allow them to kind of copy paste, so to speak, to other areas. So, but it's funny, like all of those benefits that we stated of a physical journey or a physical challenge, or we didn't talk anything about six-pack abs or lean physiques or big muscles or vanity. And I think that that's what a lot of people look at is they say, well, I'm happy with how I look. I'm not like obese, like I'm not unhealthy. Like I don't need to do any physical challenges. Like maybe you were gifted with a high metabolism and you just happen to just, keep a fairly good looking physique, but you guys have to understand that it's not about the way you look.
Mm.
It is not about the way you look. It's about forcing stress in your life, in creating this bigger threshold for what we're able to do with stress. Like if you have minimal stress in your life, then your threshold for what's going to make you upset is so small and so fragile that you could get cut off on the way to work, and you're going to lose your mind. Whereas if you just had a hard lift in the gym and you're driving to work and someone cuts you off, you're much less likely for that to bother you. You just start to become kind of just cool and calm, and
Mm-hmm.
it takes a lot more to kind of trigger that fuse. And so I think it's really important point that I wanted to get across is, to me, I do not go to the gym for my physical gains anymore at all. I go to the gym because I need to go to the gym because I need discipline and I need responsibility and I need to continue my confidence and continue ownership and all of that. And I want to become the best version of me that I can, and I know it starts with physical trials. So let's talk about that. I think a lot of people like, what's a physical challenge, right? What does that look like for most people? Like it could be, walking. We talked about lifting weights. Some people do running, yoga, dancing. I mentioned martial arts earlier, like stuff like that, right? That's your cookie cutter, black and white, copy paste. But this is, I think, more so like what I want to talk about is like pushing into an area that you've never been to before. So what does that look like? Maybe like Vetty, like we talked about last week, like she struggled with obesity her whole life. How much personal power and confidence is she going to get back if she can conquer obesity in her life, guys? The literal elephant in the room. So like I kind of stated at the beginning is I think what you need to do is going to be different than what maybe your favorite social media person needs to do. And I think that as long as you can get honest with yourself about what your hurts and hangups are and what is your source of anxiety, so to speak, in your life and where that's rooted from, and maybe the answer isn't inherently obvious, but pursue pushing towards that answer. I think that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it is.
Other things that it could just be someone who can never be consistent. So imagine you're that person and you quit as soon as it gets hard. Everything you've ever done your whole life, you've always quit. So don't you think that you would get a lot more value if you could just get consistent with something? If you could force yourself to say, no matter what, I'm going to go to the gym X days a week. And I'm making that promise to myself. For you, if that's you out there, that's going to have a higher return on investment for you than it would for someone who doesn't struggle with consistency, right? Maybe it could be that you never told your story and you're carrying this pain with you, this heavy pain. And for you, just a physical challenge could just be to start to share that with other people. Maybe even put that story online. Maybe even see the power of how your story can impact someone else. These are the things, guys. This is self-improvement right here. Going on a hike is cool, right? Showing up to the gym and walking on a treadmill is cool. Like that's going to get you pretty far. But like the real challenges, guys, are the things that we avoid, the things that we know. Like I remember I brought up ice baths to a friend of mine, and she about fell over. She's, oh, I would never do that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I am so afraid of the cold. Like, you ain't getting me in the cold. That person needs to do an ice bath.
Mm-hmm.
They need to conquer that fear in their life. And that person would get a lot more back from doing an ice bath than someone who doesn't have as big of a fear. You know, like, what about me? Right now, I'm on a fast. I did fasting before. I felt like it was a lot harder back then. I think the intention behind fasting now is a lot easier. And I think uh, it's becoming easier for me to do it this time around. It could be being true to your priorities, maybe creating those concrete priorities in your life and being true to them, or public speaking. That could be another one. What do you think?
For me personally,
No,
or
just other things.
just think it could be even having like tough conversations with people, and
Well, that's a good one.
saying the things to people that maybe not avoiding confrontation. That would be something, because I tended to avoid confrontation like crazy. um, I think that's a good one. Creating boundaries would be a good one with people in your life, whether they're toxic or not. Sometimes you just need to create boundaries with people.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Um, let's see, probably like not, I don't know, giving up possessions or maybe money,
Mm.
not
I've
looking
been
at money as much as.
I've been challenged with that this past season for sure. Like, I mean, we're in a commission-based sales job, and I'm the boss. So I've always kind of ruled the roost, and I've always sacrificed time with my family
Hmm.
to have more money in the bank, even though we didn't need that. It was a greed type thing. When it was competition type thing, like I wanted to be the biggest, I wanted to be the best, I wanted to be seen as this title, right? Like I was a really good salesperson because I sold X amount and I made X amount of money, and it was just more and more and more and more and more. I had an abundance, but I was never here. Like I would justify missing, things of, kids' birthday parties and fun family events and all of that to go sit inside of four walls and earn, some more money.
Hmm.
So really this past season, I mean, to let you know like how far I've gone with that. Like I'm every week for the past 8 weeks, I've taken unpaid days off to be more present with my kids. And at first, when I first thought about doing that, it gave me anxiety. It was hard. It wasn't easy for me to say, is this something, am I a slave to this? Like, am I serving this, or is this serving me, guys? I think that's really important to address. And what, challenges in life are all about is being honest with yourself. Like, can I walk away from this? Can I walk away from food for 3 days and not worry about the physical changes in my body that are going to happen over 3 days? Or is that something in my life that scares the heck out of me? And it's always trying to just be honest with yourself and think about, like, are you in control, or are these things? And fasting doesn't even need to be as much about food. It could be that coming home and watching TV, or playing that video game, or sitting on social media. You can fast from anything for a period of time and prove to yourself that you're in control of your life and you're not slaves to these other things. So I don't know. I think the main take home from this, guys, is we really just have to think like the things that scare us, the things that make us uncomfortable, the things that hurt, the things that we approach and we're like, I don't know about that. Maybe don't jump in with both feet, but certainly lean into those things and think and really think about and be honest with yourself. Like, am I doing this because I can't do it, or am I doing because I'm scared of it? Or is it something that's controlling a part of my life? Am I relinquishing a part of my control of my life to a substance, to a thing, to a uh, really anything, right? We as humans need to control every aspect of our life. And when you start to take control back, you start to see the mental gains and the benefits that come from that. And it starts again with the low-hanging fruit, but we have to deny our minds, the mind that says, that wants to keep us comfy, that wants to keep us lazy. Like, that's our job in self-improvement, is to say, no, I'm not going to go sit on the couch because I didn't get my workout in today. And I promised myself that I was going to work out today. Or I'm not going to, or today I'm finally going to have that hard conversation. I'm going to make that phone call. I'm not going to ignore this elephant in the room anymore. And if it scares you a little, you're on the right track. It should feel uncomfortable. And the more uncomfort you allow in your life, the more uncomfort you conquer. When life comes along, and we all know life is going to come along, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be hard, and there's going to be trials, and there's going to be struggles, we're already mentally prepped for those because we've been training for this struggle day in, day out, every day, rep after rep after rep. Life is going to come and kick your knees out. Are you going to be ready? I don't know. I think a lot of people in today's world really aren't, and I mean, frequency of these things, like, I mean, sure, if you're going to have a career in the gym, maybe you do work out most every days, right? 3 to 5 days a week. But a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about, like having hard conversations, conquering your anxiety, like that could just be for a short season, or even just one day here and there periodically. Like, this fasting thing, like, I think I'll probably incorporate fasting as part of my just health regimen, my self-improvement regimen, because it's it's shown me how much I value food as like a reward type structure. Like, I'm at work and I see a certain time of day and I'm like, oh, it's time to eat. I'm like, oh, wait, no, it's not time to eat. Like, denying myself of that pleasure is showing me that I can be in control and I'm not just going through the motions. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very important, guys. And I think that, I hope that this video finds someone well, and that you guys just sit and think about, like, what in my life is controlling me, you know? Maybe more people should be inviting us over for ice baths and weekend fasting things and sandbag carries. Maybe that should be a part of life, where we have friends in our life that we're challenging. We have friends in our life that are pushing us to be the best versions of ourselves. Not the friends in our life that are telling us, no, 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 you worked all week. You punched a 40-hour clock. You need to sit. You need to watch TV.
Have beers.
Yeah. You need to, like, get hooked on this substance, or take this pill, or take the easy road out. There's time and place for the easy road, for sure. I'm not saying that you have to work 24 hours of every day, eat, sleep, work, there can be some pleasure in there. But guys, let's be honest, we're in 2023 and the comforts surround us. So I want to end this with a question, really, I guess, just open discussion about, when you see someone physically fit, what did you used to think and what do you think now?
Me personally? Are you asking me?
No, the person next to
Oh, I didn't know if you're asking me or like
you.
the guys.
Rhetorical question.
Got
Yeah, I
it.
gotcha.
For me, I obviously I like to think I might be a little bit physically fit.
No, but
So,
when you're walking down the street and you see someone who looks like they are
well, right.
physically
I
fit,
know the
like,
work involved in getting there. So I know that that person has the like grind in them to stay committed to things,
yeah,
that they're hardworking. They are not lazy. They're like, say for example, I was going to hire somebody and I could tell that person like lifted weights or hit the gym or was physically fit. Um, not just with like abs or anything like that, but somebody who, took care of themselves, maybe. I don't know how you want to like categorize that, but I know they have the mental wherewithal to handle
Yeah.
situations, and they're more than likely more
You
reliable
know
than
now what it
somebody.
takes.
So,
And what it takes, you don't get strong overnight. You don't
no.
you don't get lean overnight. You don't get all of these physical achievements unless this is iron, rock solid. You're going when it hurts. You're
Mhm.
going when you're tired. You're going sometimes when you're sick, and you also get to go when you want to. But it doesn't matter. You just become a machine in
Mhm.
life, and you're getting something that very few people get to have because you're willing to be consistent. So hope this finds you guys well. Hope you guys appreciate this, but get out there, challenge yourself. Like none of us are getting any younger. Why not go take something from this world instead of just wanting this world to give you everything? Why
Mhm.
not take something? The best things in life we have to go grab, and they work. It isn't just driving there, pulling up and demanding things. Go get you something.
Mhm.
All right. We love you guys. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. Peace.